I want you to know that you can live in inner peace. You can live in inner peace because here's someone who was so heavily wounded that lives in inner peace, and I reach out to you to let you know you can.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tonia Tyler, and I'm going to be talking to Miss Radavie, and we're going to talk about live as your divine self and realizing there's more behind the veil. And those not my words; those are her words. But before we dive too much into the conversation, I want to welcome Miss Radavie to the show. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much, Tanya. I just love being here with you.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I know I like to share with the audience how we connected. You were referred to me by Mr. Brandon Drake, the healthy guy, and he was like, "You need to talk to Miss Radavie," and I was like, "I will." We had to pause because I went on vacation, but now I've been back. She has an excellent story about like learning about your divine self. But before I share her story, I'd like to turn it over to Miss Radavie. Please tell a little bit about who you are and maybe something that you've picked up from last year that you'd like to, an icebreaker to get us kicked off on this conversation. So the mic is yours, my friend.
Okay, so what I want to say to your listeners too, I want to take it from where I was covered over in my conditioned self. Oh my God, you know, I felt like a wounded child, and I had lots of stories about that. My mother was my first teacher, but I didn't know that she I had so much wounded because of her. But the whole thing is I had to go through my own self-healing. Self-healing is important because I walked away from my childhood stuff. I thought, that's her, that little girl, and now I'm growing up, that's not me. But I was confronted in a mystical way, and so it was important for me to go through self-healing. Why is that? Because that's when I got to understand the difficulties that human conditioning how it has affected humanity. I can't explain how that happened, but it did. And I realized from that moment, this is what my soul is here to do. My soul is here to break the code of human conditioning. And with that comes the other side. If you break the code, okay, so what happens to you? You live as your divine self, because that's the highest expression. This is what I call this the sacred temple is here to bring in our soul, because the soul is here to learn, grow, and evolve. And then we learn, like, for instance, through the wounding, the growing is to me is when you start to go through your healing. Because when you go through your healing, the wisdom of life is about experiencing life, not being told about it. It's not going to happen. And so, evolving now, when you get to that place to say, oh my God, I understand that what I used to believe was the painful thing, or my judgment, or how I feel about these people who have hurt me. There's a key question here.
Yeah.
What is it that really hurt me? It wasn't the divine self. It was the conditioned self, the conditioning that is rampant on the planet that's causing great chaos. And I call it conditioning. You understand the ego, the one people think that they are, and so I am not my house, and I'm not what I do in life. I am not my money, but acknowledge and grateful for whatever it is that is brought to me.
Right.
But I am not that. None of us are that. We are the divine self. And so it's about letting go, um, owning, our material life and feeling, okay, that's it. I've got the boat, I've got a couple $1 million house, and I'm rich, and people look at me and think I'm important. But where are you really within your divine self? The wealth is inside, and I have nothing against wealth, because I think the way in which you express the good fortune of financial wealth is a blessing. How many people you look at who has less than you that you want to offer to? I've started having money in my wallet, not much, because when I see the homeless people, I need to hand them money, and I look in their eyes and I say, I bless you. And that blessing wasn't just for my head, it was for my soul. Because there's no difference between any of us. Okay, so why do I say that? Someone may say, you can't tell me that because that person did this to me and that person did this to me. Remember, that divine self didn't hurt you. So there's time for us to understand and to forgive. But we're all one, because the divine self, there's a spark, the essence of our soul is a divine spark. And what is a divine spark? Is the flame from the flame of the one God or divine, whatever you want to call it. So we're not different from each other. We're just here learning and growing in our own way. And some people fall short because they got stuck in their human conditioning, right? Going back to that. And that's what I'm here to do, to remind people I've been there, so I know what I'm talking about. And that's what makes me have such love and compassion for the difficulties that we go through. Because I know that we're not living from our authentic self, because nobody taught us that.
Right.
We never learned it, you know. Nowhere in this third dimensional world has anybody ever told us.
Yeah.
We are the divine.
Right. I love it. I wanted to touch on some things that you brought up, because, like I said, I was looking forward to this conversation. I love talking about the divine, the true self, and I was sharing before we got on the call. I highlighted this statement. You said, my self-healing became my classroom. I learned about human conditioning and how we become entrapped in a belief system imposed on us by family and society. This was my wake-up call. And I highlighted it because I think we're still struggling with the wake-up call. I think some people are starting to get the wake-up call. Some people are starting to get the message that we are not what we do. But again, I think a lot of us are still struggling. So my question with that is, what are some of the signs that there's awakening in you? I mean, you heard the call, but what would your advice be, or something that helps somebody who's starting to question what's going on with themselves? Can you help us with that?
Sure, that's a very good question. First of all, don't go outside. You have to take a trip inside, because you know what? In my belief that every question we have has an answer. So a lot of people may be going through anxiety, and so because of that, they can't find the answer because it's there. It's a quiet message. But ask yourself a lot of questions. I used to ask myself at 5 years old, who am I? Why am I here? We can still do it even today. So it's about sitting in your heart, going into your heart. We a lot of have a hard wall around because of things that happen to us, and so fear becomes the guardian at the heart space. We have to break through the wall of fear. And one of the things too would be to start reading books by awakened teachers. Totally is a really great one. And another simple one, I think I have it right here. The Untethered sorry, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Now that is so much simpler because a lot of people can't get Eckhart Tolle's words because of the place where they are in their evolution. Mickey Singer. That's the book I would recommend because it's simple, it's down to earth, and it's talking to human beings. And it helps you to lift up from that. And most of us really need to reach out for help too. That's reaching out for help, reading those books. But if you want someone physical, find someone who you feel is spiritually inclined, who does work with people. Find somebody, because then you can really lay out everything from your heart. And I don't downplay anything, but I really don't want to say that traditional therapy is sort of in the old paradigm because it's about talk. We need to feel, and we need to get down deep, and we need to feel the unconscious and the subconscious things that have been stuck in there.
All right.
Yes. And
oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, so these are some of the things I really reach out. Go to a bookstore. So many people have said books are falling. You probably have heard it. Falling on the ground to them. Go through with your heart open. You're there, but you're not there with an expectation. You're just there. And you may come into the spiritual or the conscious book. I don't know what they call them. And one book will just point itself to you. And you look and say, wow. It's okay, I'm going to take this book up because we think that our mind is in charge, our soul is in charge. And I call that our soul our guardians of this, our life, of being a life force. So it's beautiful to know that when you're feeling something, you may wonder, where is this feeling coming from, And you feel, I'm intuitive. But you're intuitive to hear it because your guardian is speaking to you.
I love it. I want to take a moment to pause because we're about halfway through, and Radavie's been sharing so many juicy nuggets. I've been picking them up, so hopefully you're picking them up as well. So this is where I say, if you've enjoyed our conversation so far, you pick it up, make sure you hit that like button, because I like how you said, the chair, the guardian is. I laughed at myself years ago. I call my heart, mind, and my body, heart, and mind, the 3 chairmen. And I always feel like I have to go to the board, right, before I make a decision. See what the board members feel like. If we're not in cohesiveness, then we're not doing it. And so I was reading another quote. I highlighted another quote. And said, "These veils block the light of the divine spark, who we truly are. As the veils dissolve, the portal of a spiritual awakening begins to open." And I know I highlighted that because it takes, like you said, emotion. A lot of people avoid the emotions because they don't want to do, they don't do the hard work because of the emotion. So how would or what would your advice be for somebody who's, realizing to be able to dissolve those veils, we had to put in that work? What would your advice be to that?
Now, you want to feel your heart opening to say, there's more to me than I think I really know. And I'm ready to find out. And trust me, when we open to the universe that I want to find out, some gifts will come. And I'd say a little story. How, and I don't know if I mentioned to you that I get messages from the divine spark, the essence of our soul. So that's a book I'm writing. But anyway, for years, I really worked with people um, integrating the fragments of their woundedness for years. That was my specialty. People will come to me and say, I hear you do inner child work. Or somebody referred somebody. And the reason I was good at it is because of the journey of my soul, you know. So one day I had a vision and my eyes were open. There was this little boy. And I knew he was 3 years old. And he had one hand above his head with the golden key. And he said, we are here to help the adults. But first, they have to take us out of confinement. I knew exactly what he was talking about. It's the woundedness is the veils that are covered the essence of our being, our divine self. He was telling me, I am I represent the essence of the divine self in humanity. And I didn't know the name Divine Spark. So I learned through the messages that they gave me. And they said, we're not wounded children, we're Divine Spark. And it was so yearning, Tonia, that they want so many people to know what they are. And that is the book. So I'm just turning to the book now to say, this is the reason why this book was written. The messages and coming from, I know how the human beings are, the conditioning. So the people who are listening to really open your heart and recognize that if you're going through a hard time, it's not what you are. It's the experiences and the memories. It's the memories you had that is so confined, embedded in you. It's important to realize that you have to move these out and experience them. But one of the things, people may want to push it away. This is why people are afraid of their emotion. They push it away or diversion, I go watch TV or I'll eat to make me feel better. Or I get addicted to different things because I want to get out of this place I'm in. So it is not what you do, it is why you do what you do that is the issue. It's the emotions and the block memories that you're afraid of. So if you, let's say, have an upsetting memory that comes up, or let's say something's coming. Let's say you're in the office and your boss said something to you and you didn't like it. And you go home and you're really upset. More than likely, that emotion has been stored from a long time ago. He just awakened it. But you are feeling it. You're feeling that and it really upset you. I'd like you to sit and just imagine that there's a woundedness that is hurting. And you're going to be the parent for that woundedness. Don't push it away. So, okay, come into my heart. You've been hanging around for a long time, waiting to be recognized. waiting to be accepted. And I'm here now for the first time. And come to my and not going to walk. And I tell you, when we become the parent for those wounds, trust me, your fear of running away will be gone because you're facing it. That's I'm not leaving. And more than likely, you may feel tears. Whatever emotions that come to you, let it flow because you are accepting something that you had pushed away a whole long time.
Right.
So that's one thing you can do for yourself.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And like I said, it's amazing just how fast 20 minutes goes by. And so I'm all up in the conversation. But I want to ask you there's a couple of questions I want to ask you before we close it out. What's the one thing you want the audience to take away from your interview today?
Oh my goodness. I want you to know that you can live in inner peace. You can live in inner peace because here's someone who was so heavily wounded that lives in inner peace, and I reach out to you to let you know you can. So, something else is coming. The world looks very chaotic, but it's through the eyes of the person who's looking at it. So if you are at peace, you'll know that there are troubled waters on the planet, but you're not getting involved. Trust me. So that's the one thing I would love for them to take away.
Well, thank you so very much. And my next question is, where can people find you, your information, or find your services and the book that you have coming out? How can we find you?
Okay, my one thing too, I give a 20-minute complimentary guidance to anyone, and it's on my website. And my website is like my name, Radavie.net. So they can reach out to me there. And my book is not yet published, but it's interesting. I don't know where you got what you were reading, but that was very much I thought that is in my book. Tonia, I don't know.
See, I have resources that help me.
I mean, I'm just so. Wait a minute, did Tonia read something for my book?
Well, thank you, Miss Radavie. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I would love to have you come back, maybe go into a deeper conversation, because I know, like I said, I keep it at 20 minutes but that's my military side in it. But I want to thank you so much for sharing your insight and your wisdom with us. It's been a pleasure talking to you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Tonia. It's such a pleasure, and just, your spark shines, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And I want to thank everybody who tuned in today's episode. Remember that feedback is always welcome. The links that Radavie mentioned will be posted down in the description box. So please make sure you check out those juicy gems down there. Find the book, follow up, maybe ask us a couple of questions. Again, if you enjoyed today's show, please hit that like button. And if you want to get more insight like what Radavie shared today, or some other great guests that we have, please hit that subscribe button over there. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And we will see you back here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.